Who the Chel cares? And
who cares? And I was like, I want to start a clothing brand.
So you birthed another baby.
Basically.
Just look like Brody Jenner on the beach.
Wait, who's Brody Jenner?
Oh, just looks like a surfer bro. Pulled his hair back.
Cali Bros.
Tune in.
I can't wait.
You're listening to Who the Chel Cares, and I'm your host, Chelsea. On this week's episode, we have Hannah Thace. Hannah is 22 years old, a certified holistic health coach and clothing brand owner. She was diagnosed with a rare autoimmune condition 3 years ago, and she believes it was brought on as a result of chronic stress and unhealed childhood trauma. Hannah is very passionate about learning how to heal the mind, body, and soul. She says the moment we learn to let go is the moment we are able to free ourselves. How we view our lives and our perspective of the world is up to us. Never give that power away to anyone else. Now we're flourishing a new friendship, and I love it.
Same, because I feel like, I didn't really expect to get anything out of.
No.
Because I was like, oh, this sounds so fun, and then it ended up being super great.
I know.
And that doesn't, I don't know. I've done a lot of shoots, and I've met a lot of people, and it never that doesn't really happen. It's very clicky, or people are just okay, thank you, bye. I've met a lot of great people, but I've also met a lot of very not nice people, and I've had pretty bad experiences, especially with payment. No one wants to pay anyone out here. And it's oh, I'll do it for trades, or you'll get free photos, and it's you need to be compensating people for their work, and then it's people use the same 3 models for everything, and that's it. It's just the same 3 people.
They're good models.
They are good models,
but
so nothing against them at all.
I have been noticing lately, I'm so bored. I'm so bored.
Yeah.
And that can't be good for business, you know what I mean? I already know what those people look like in the photos. Show me more people.
Yeah.
And then that's where my job comes in, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it was really nice to be able to go walk for Afa, who is so much a pioneer in diversity.
Yes.
And he's just one of the greatest people ever anyway. And so to go walk for him in his clothes, dresses, that was dream come true for someone who has really no professional modeling experience.
Yeah.
But
same. He's just an amazing person. All over. I love everything he posts, all of his designs. He deserves so much more credit.
Everyone, Afa Ah Loo.
Yeah. Follow him. Everything. He really is amazing. And yeah, having that opportunity as well was just huge, and I'm happy to be able to support him as well.
Yeah.
And to be able to support all the girls there, and it was just a really good community.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's how we met. We walked for Afa Ah Loo on Good Things Utah in February sometime.
So, yeah.
So that was fun, and that's how we've started our friendship. And I feel like we have a lot of the same values and passions, which is mental health. Tell me a bit more about the things you're interested in.
Yeah, so definitely raising awareness about mental health, because I feel it's not talked about enough, and it's not accessible enough to people, especially people who need it. It's not accessible for most of the time. And so definitely that. I'm getting my certification for health coaching right now. So
that's great.
I'm learning a little bit more on the nutrition end of things, gut health. And the one thing that I love about it, especially the specific school that I'm going through, is they teach bioindividuality, where we learn about hundreds of dietary theories and different dietary theories, because there are so many different diets out there, because not one thing is going to work for everyone. And I find that so interesting, because
it's crazy to think it would, right?
Right? And so it's just crazy to me that people will be oh, if I just eat my kale and salads all day, every day, I'll be healthy. And it's no, you have to find what works for your body, because you one thing that irritates you might not irritate another person. And so being able to connect with your body in that way too is so special. And food is literally connected to everything.
It's our fuel.
Yeah. And I just feel like it's not talked about enough because, especially in today's world and in America, life is so high-paced and fast-paced and just chaotic most of the time.
We don't even have time to cook.
Right. And so it's like, how are you supposed to, and trying to figure that out. And so I totally understand how that's overwhelming. And so my goal is to just find a way to make it less overwhelming for people, where they feel like they're still able to take the time for themselves and gain self-care and just appreciate their body and love it enough to be able to fuel it in the right ways.
I will say, following you and some of the recipes that you post, I'm like, I could never have imagined myself picking that off of Pinterest or, you know what I mean, doing that myself. But seeing someone I know preparing it, who's a mother and a business owner and a partner, like, you're busy. And so I should be able to do that too. So that has really helped me as like one of your followers, is your recipes and things like that.
Oh, I'm glad. That makes me happy.
Have I made one of them yet? No. Have I saved a ton? Yes.
Well, I'm glad, because it is, and it's really just getting in the habit of it, because I grew up, like, my mom was a single parent, and so we didn't have any time. Like, it was just what was fastest, and what's fastest is freezer meals, and what's cheapest is also freezer meals. And so just growing up, that was what I ate, and so I just kind of got in the habit of eating that, and breaking that habit is really hard. And I still struggle with it, like, especially figuring out where your cravings are coming from.
How do you do that?
Hormones. It's so long, but a lot of the times it's just listening to your body and figuring out that, you know, if I'm craving something like a ton of sugars, what my body probably needs is either I have low blood sugar or there's something going on in my gut. So instead of going and eating those sugars, maybe try something like fruits or replacing it with something else. But doing it slowly, because if you just jump into it and you're like, I'm just going to eat salad and eat healthy and buy all this produce, it's not going to work.
Crawl, walk, run.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's been my motto recently. I like started a new routine for myself. I'm like, okay, I'm going to really do this. I woke up so overwhelmed. I was like, I can't do this. Okay, we'll take a step back. We'll crawl, walk, run into that routine, and then it'll probably stick.
Exactly. Yeah, you got to do small swaps first, and then before you know it, you'll be there and you'll be like, okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought, or I'm not overwhelmed. So just start really small. Start with one craving at a time. And if you are craving something, just eat it. Like,
just don't eat the whole bag.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world, and everyone messes up, or it's not even messing up. It's just, it's okay. Like, you can eat it, just don't eat it all the time, or just realize, you know, maybe after I eat this, there will be some consequences, because, like, I have terrible gut issues.
Yeah, I won't feel well.
Yeah, so it's like, I can eat this, but, like, I know I'm not going to feel good after it.
Destroy the bathroom.
Yep, we love Taco Bell. Honestly, I love Taco Bell. I'm not going to lie.
Have you had their breakfast yet?
No. Is it good?
Exposing myself. I don't eat at home. It's a struggle, and I'm trying to get there. But for $3.02, I can buy a good-sized breakfast burrito that's egg, like bacon, sausage, or steak, which I just do bacon. And then hash brown. It has like one of those McDonald's hash browns in it.
That honestly sounds so good.
It's the best.
Del Taco has these like breakfast wraps, I think for like $2 or something.
Okay.
And it's like the hash browns and like a pico and then like eggs. I think you can add like
that's way
sausage
more
or
healthy than
bacon
the
if
Taco
you
Bell
want.
one, but
I don't know if it is, but it's really good.
better than nothing.
Exactly. Fuel, just eat food. It doesn't matter what it is, but don't starve yourself. That is never the option. Never the solution.
Yeah. I restricted for like 10 years, and I still kind of fall back into it every once in a while when my life is turbulent. But Once I started eating, I was probably living off 600 or less calories
Oh
most
my gosh.
days for at least 3 years. And we're not anymore, and
That's good.
we don't want to ever do that again. But I was in survival mode, and I started eating again once I was getting out of it, and I was like, holy shit, I have energy to do stuff.
Yeah.
I was like having to sleep in the middle of the day. I couldn't go up and down like flights of stairs. People would have to like come help me
Goodness.
take my dog out when I lived on the third floor of an apartment complex. Like, your food is so important.
It is. And it really, like, yes, eating healthy is important, but also fueling your body is more important. So focus on fueling your body first and finding foods that you actually enjoy instead of just trying to force yourself
Oh,
to
yeah.
drink smoothies all day or
Probably 3 months of me just being like, if it sounds good, eat it.
yes, exactly.
It was Shake Shack. It was In
Yes.
and Out. It was Chick-fil-A. It was all of the fast food, but it sounded good. And I was like, all right, that's at least a gateway, because then I have food in my stomach and then I can go eat something more healthy. So my mom helps me get like these little egg muffin things, and I could walk out the door with it. You know what I mean?
I
And
love
that's
that.
something.
Yeah.
And so it was like gradually getting into it, but I have probably DoorDashed over $2,000 in the
Honestly,
last
DoorDash is a lifesaver.
since COVID. I've probably done over 2,000 on DoorDash, and no shame, because that girl got fed.
Exactly.
So when do you graduate?
I graduate in September.
Cool.
So I'm almost done. And then I'll be taking their gut health course after that. So I'll dive a little bit deeper into like the gut microbiome and all of that stuff, which I'm really excited for. Because it
That's
just
exciting.
intrigues me so much, especially learning just all about your gut and how much it affects your daily life is just mind blowing to me.
And it impacts our brain
Yeah.
a lot.
I think I might get this statistic wrong, but I think it's like not 90%. I think it's 70% of your serotonin is in your gut. So
So us depressed gals need to
Yeah.
do better about our food.
gotta look into our gut and see what is irritating us, because we carry so much of the serotonin and that happy, healthy hormone in our guts. And so when our guts are imbalanced, that could be what is causing, not the root cause, but that could be contributing to depression, anxiety. I think even some studies have shown like it contributes to like ADHD and just a bunch of different things.
So what are your recommendations for like starting out to get into like figuring out your own gut?
There's a good book that I read on Audible, and it's called The Inflammation Spectrum. And it basically just goes through different diets you can try, and basically like an elimination diet.
Okay.
So kind of look and see where you choose different weeks to eliminate specific things. Like a lot of people are intolerant to dairy, so they'll remove dairy for a week, see if anything changes. Or like for me, like I can't eat red meats. If I eat red meats, I get super irritated in my stomach. So for me, I have to avoid red meat. Dairy is really hard to like get off of. I've tried so many times to go dairy free.
Dude, I can't imagine.
It's honestly,
It would change your whole life.
yeah, it's hard. I went dairy free for like a month, and I didn't realize how much dairy is in literally everything. And it's a struggle. So I know I need to go dairy free eventually, but we're waiting on that one.
So you have a young child, and dairy
Yeah.
is just so easy.
And she
yeah?
loves cheese, and she also drinks milk too. And so that's just what we have in our house. And I'm like, you know what? It is what it is for now.
Yeah.
I don't really care that much, but yeah, so definitely an elimination diet. There's a lot of supplements you can take as well. Like L-glutamine helps restore the gut lining, because in your gut, your lining is so thin. So really the littlest thing can irritate it, but L-glutamine can help you restore that wall. Because sometimes when you have an imbalance of bacteria, you have too much bad bacteria, you kind of have to almost flush your body out of the bad bacteria to start replenishing that good bacteria, and then your wall will start rebuilding. And your taste in food will change as well. Because since starting this school and just digging into the science of things, I'm like, okay, I need to take my health a little bit more seriously, because I also have an autoimmune disorder that affects a lot. And so I'm like, okay, I really need to look into this more, take it very seriously. And now some foods, like, I don't even crave anymore. Like, I used to crave Chick-fil-A every day, and chicken sandwiches were like my favorite thing in the world. But now, since kind of restoring my gut and repairing it, I don't even really have those cravings anymore.
That's so nice.
Which I thought was impossible.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like all these people who say like they don't like crave fast food are lying. Like, I'm like, there's no way that's
And for
true.
real, you don't anymore.
I don't. Yeah, and just
that's a dream.
I mean, I do like occasionally, but really I don't.
You don't crave it.
Yeah, and so that's been really nice, because it seems impossible, but I promise once you, and it's taken me probably about, my entire life.
Well, and you said you have an autoimmune disorder. So when were you diagnosed with that?
I was diagnosed in 2019.
So recent.
Yeah. So it's taken me about, since my diagnosis, to get rid of those cravings and to not have them anymore. So it takes a really long time to get your body balanced, at least for me personally. So
tell us more about your autoimmune disorder, if you're willing.
Yeah, of course. So it was honestly a disaster when I first got it. So I woke up one morning. I have always been healthy. Like, I've never had any major medical problems, even as a kid. And I just woke up one morning and I had like a rash down my legs, and it was really weird. And I was like, okay, this is a little strange. Don't know where this comes from.
Where did I walk through?
Yeah. And so I thought that, I was like, maybe I just put on like a bad lotion, or like tried a new product that just didn't react well to my skin.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next morning I woke up, I couldn't even walk. And I was like, okay,
Stop.
This is not normal. So I had my friend drive me to the urgent care up in U of U, because I was like, this is really strange. Well, first I went to Planned Parenthood because I didn't have insurance, and I was like, I don't know where else to go. And so I went there, and Planned Parenthood, obviously, like, they were so helpful, but there's specific things that they can't do. And so I went up to the urgent care after that, and they were like, yeah, we have no idea what's wrong with you, so we're going to send you to the emergency room. We're just going to admit you because we have no idea. And so at that point I was kind of panicking, because I'm like, I don't want to sit like in the ER.
Totally.
So they finally admitted me. They took me back to do blood work, and my heart stopped as soon as they did the blood work. I completely passed out, so they had to bring in the EKG machine.
Oh my God, thank God you were there.
Yeah, and so I'm really happy that my friend was there, because I would have been alone. So bless his soul. And that was so terrifying for him, and I feel so bad, because when I woke up, I couldn't remember anything.
Oh no.
So he then had to answer questions for me, and then they finally got me back to a room, because they were like, okay, at this point we have no idea what's wrong with this girl. And we were there for probably 8 hours, and they were doing blood work, running tests. I had at least 6 doctors come in and out of my room asking me the same question. They literally just kept asking me, have you left the country? And I was like, no, I haven't left the country. And
this was 2019, you said, so pre-COVID.
It was pre-COVID, which I'm really thankful that this didn't happen during COVID, because I feel like I would have been...
They were so overwhelmed.
Yeah, weird. And I'm sure the doctors would have been overwhelmed, because they probably would have maybe assumed that it had something to do with COVID. And so I am grateful that it happened pre-COVID. And
sorry, I interrupted. So they asked you, had you gone out of the country or anything?
Oh yeah, so they just kept asking me the same question, and I was like, just because a different doctor comes in doesn't mean that I'm going to give you guys a different answer. So eventually they were just like, oh, all your blood work looks normal. we're just gonna release you. And I was like, I literally can't walk, but
And my heart just stopped.
Yeah. So, and they were like, oh, that's normal when we draw blood. Normally people pass out. And I'm like, but I didn't pass out. Like, my heart literally stopped.
You had to bring me back to life, lady.
Yeah. And so I think it's because I didn't have I was 19 at the time. And, like, I didn't have an adult. I mean, I had my friend with me, but I didn't have an adult with me. I didn't have insurance. And so to them, they
Isn't
were
that so shitty? You're an adult, and you, like, have to feel like you have to have
like, I have to have my mom with me? I'm sorry, but what? So that's just crazy. And, I mean, also the fact that I didn't have insurance, so they're not guaranteed any money, so they're not gonna really care. So they were like, oh, but just come back if it gets worse. So I spent, it's honestly a blur, but I spent that night at another Instacare. I actually had a doctor yell at me. She told me it was like an allergic reaction to ibuprofen I had taken, and I was like, this is not an allergic reaction. My roommates were with me, and she just started yelling. She was like, don't tell me, like, I know what I'm doing, I'm the doctor. And she just stormed out of the room. This was like 11 p.m. at night, so granted, she was probably really tired, exhausted, but also not an excuse to yell at a patient.
No way to behave.
And so after that, I was just, like, done. I was still in pain, and the pain didn't go away, and it was just getting worse. So it took me 3 more ER visits for them to finally do a skin biopsy, and then that's when they got the diagnosis. I don't know if I said what it is, but it's IgA vasculitis, and it's a really rare autoimmune condition. I think it's like 2 in 100,000 adults have it per year. So that's why they just didn't know. And it's typically a pediatric disease, so they find it more in children. So,
and it's just never surfaced with you until now.
I honestly believe that it was from chronic stress and unhealed childhood trauma is how it appeared.
I believe that 100%.
And because more than half the population, especially in America, they have an autoimmune disorder or some type of chronic illness. And so people aren't looking at the root cause. They're just trying to put a Band-Aid over it. So it's like, okay, here's
what drugs
medication.
Can we give you?
Yeah. And it's not, drugs are not going to fix you. You got to get to the root, and doctors are not trained. A lot of doctors aren't even trained in nutrition. Because I've asked a doctor before, I was like, does my nutrition have anything to do with this? And they were like, oh, no, absolutely not. I was like,
It's not all connected.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that, but... So
Wow.
It was just a very interesting experience. And then I had an ex-boyfriend as well who was very narcissistic, very emotionally abusive. And he had been stalking me for that period of time as well. And so I think that the stress just
level up.
And my body just couldn't handle it anymore. So
whose could?
Yeah.
Whose could?
But yeah, that was
I'm so sorry.
But that's how I got diagnosed with my autoimmune.
But now you're healthier than ever? Would you say that, you think?
I feel like I am. Especially after having a baby, I think it really shows you how strong your body is and how amazing women's bodies are. Like, we really are incredible. And the things that our body, I mean, we can grow a whole human.
You could grow multiple.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Like, that is so crazy and so insane.
Have you seen a childbirth? Other than going through your own?
I kind of watched a video. I was too scared to during pregnancy.
I will say it's beautiful. I don't plan on ever going through that myself. It is beautiful to watch. I can't believe we do that.
It's insane. And women are so powerful. Like, they're just amazing. And so that really gave me also like a new love for my body, because I was like, as much as I hated pregnancy, and I honestly never want to be pregnant again. I'm like, no, thank you. I was
Once was enough.
Sick. One is good for me, but like, it really shows you how strong you are and how strong your body is. So yeah.
So that was like the push you needed to continue like fighting for your health. And
yeah. And especially now having to raise a little mini human, I'm like, okay, let me see like what do I wish my parents would have done for me? And it's like, I wish my parents, and nothing against them, but like, I wish I would have been raised on more whole foods and introduced to a lot of different types of foods while I was young. And so I was more aware of them and different cultures and things like that. So
Totally.
it's cool.
I started liking vegetables as an adult.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it was not something that we really introduced growing up. So I get that. Like, also, our parents are just doing the best with what they were given.
Exactly.
And we get to be adults ourselves and do the best with what we're given.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's beautiful about life.
Yeah. Especially being a parent now, I'm like, because I have 4 siblings, and so I'm like, I just props to my mom. I'm like, I don't know how you did it, but it's hard. And
especially as a single mother. Like, that's even harder.
Because I have Chris, and he's amazing, and he helps out, honestly, so much. And I really don't know how anyone does it alone.
No. Round of applause for all those people.
Seriously, because it's already hard enough as is. So doing it alone, my mind is blown, honestly.
So how did you and Chris meet?
We actually met, so I knew a bunch of his friends, just through like photography and modeling and stuff. And so I was kind of friends with them, and I would like go over to their house occasionally because they all live together. And I feel so bad. I guess I met Chris once, but he was upstairs working on his music, doing his like music thing. And so we just like briefly said hi. So I didn't really remember it because I was like,
he was in the cave.
Yeah, I'm like, you're in your zone, dude. Like, I'm not trying to interrupt.
Hey.
Yeah. And so I didn't really remember meeting him. And then we matched on Tinder. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, hey, I know you. And I was like, okay, what is this dude trying to do? Like, I thought
what's this play?
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, do I need to like block you? I swear. And so I thought that he was just trying to be like flirty, and so I was like, no, I don't think so. And he's like, no, you do. And I was like, okay, I'm really gonna block this kid. Like, no, you don't know me. I was getting so defensive, and he's like, no, I know his friend Jazzer. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, okay, so we actually did meet. And then we ended up going out on a date, and then
the rest is history.
Now we found out we were pregnant, and now we're here. So
right on.
It is fun learning how to parent with someone, and it's a new part of life, and it's extremely stressful and overwhelming. And some days I'm like, I wish I wasn't a mom today because I just want to be me. But at the end of the day, it is so, like, completely worth it.
And I'm sure that's so normal to think. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure so many people that listen to this, hopefully so many people listen to this, feel the same way. You know, like, parenting is so hard. I only see it from the outside, and I can see that it's hard. So
I wish it was more normalized for moms to be able to be like, this is hard, and I don't like being a mom, because it's okay to feel that way. And especially because my pregnancy was unplanned, and so I was not prepared for this at all. And so it was kind of something that I was just thrown into, and I'm only 22, and so I feel like that's young. In Utah,
it's so young.
Maybe not young, but it really is young. And so sometimes I do get sad because I'm like, I wish I had my 20s to, you know, go out and do what I want or like experience things. And so it's definitely a huge mindset change. And it can be really depressing. But yeah, it's fun. But I really wouldn't be where I'm at right now if I didn't have Zella. Like, she is the reason why I am doing the things that I'm doing and why I'm at the place that I'm at. So I wouldn't trade it for anything, but it's also okay to feel completely overwhelmed and frustrated. So
yes,
yeah,
100 times. Well, so you mentioned the things you're doing. Tell us a little bit more about the things you're doing because of Zella.
Well, right now I started a clothing brand, so that's been fun.
What?
Chelsea's coming in clutch and wearing it for me. I love it.
Honestly, I'm wearing them because I love them.
Really?
I'm comfortable in them all the time. It's like the first pair of sweats I put on after laundry day.
That makes me so happy.
It's not a joke. I got to model for you.
I love it.
And that was fun. I'll put up some pictures
Thank
in
you
this.
for doing that. That was
I
amazing.
loved it. And little did we know you had COVID when we met.
Yeah.
That's fine. Apparently, I don't get COVID.
I'm really glad that you did not. I was literally dying that morning, but I was like, I am doing this shoot. And
Bless your heart.
It was...
She did not need to. I was nursing my boyfriend back to health either right before or right after, so I was like, I'm not really worried. Like, thanks for letting me know,
good,
but
okay.
I'm glad you're doing okay now, and Zella too, because
COVID was rough. Like, I'm completely vaccinated and everything, and me, Zella, and Chris all got it, and I was out. Like, I could not leave my bed for like a couple days, so I cannot even imagine what it's like just before the vaccine came out for everyone who got COVID.
Lots
of
people died.
your souls, because that shit is no joke.
No.
And I definitely learned that. But it was so worth it.
So we shot for the sweat set. I don't have the top on, but
It's too hot.
I know, I'm like, last episode I was like sweating to death.
Yeah.
I was like, this will be it. But so you started Who Cares?
Yes. So I actually started that. I mean, I've always wanted to start a clothing brand, but it was always just like an idea like, oh yeah, like that would be fun to do, or like that'd be fun to have. But I never really like did anything with the idea. It would just like come and go from my mind a few times. And then after I went on maternity leave, that was like the first time I hadn't been working a full-time job in years. And so I had, I mean, obviously not a ton of like free time,
Right.
but newborn babies, they like sleep all the time, and luckily we had a ton of help with Chris's family and my family.
Cool.
And I don't know, I just had this like weird sense of just power. Like I just felt so powerful.
Dude, I love that.
And I was like, I'm gonna start a clothing brand. So I called my bank, I upped my credit card limit, and I just literally bought an embroidery machine. I bought a whole bunch of stock, and
Good for you.
I was like, I'm doing this. I want to do this. I need to do this. Don't know where that feeling came from, but it was just an overwhelming
You ran with
feeling
it.
of like, I need to do this. I don't know where I'm gonna go with it, but I'm gonna do this. And so I started experimenting different names. At first I just started to do like cute little designs. I knew I wanted to do something to like incorporate mental health and like bring positive messages to people. I just didn't know how to do that. So my very first launch I just did little designs with like quotes. I honestly don't even remember what they said, but they were just positive quotes. And then so Chris has a friend who is super into marketing, and so he came over and he helped us out a lot and gave us a ton of marketing information, gave us a ton of books to read on marketing. And so I started to get more into like developing my brand and developing my brand story and really niching down on like what I want to target. And I was like, okay, so it's mental health that I want to target, but how do I do that? And how do I do that different? And how do I actually make a difference? Because, you know, you can start a clothing brand, and a lot of people do, and which is amazing.
But what sets you apart?
Yeah. And so I just needed to find that thing, and then that's when we came up with our slogan, Wear Your World. And so it's basically just about wearing how you feel on the outside and basically healing your inner child. Because I feel like, especially seeing my daughter and raising my daughter, like, she doesn't have a care in the world. Like, whatever she's doing, like, she is doing, and she is so into it.
No inhibitions.
Yes, and she just is so happy when she wakes up in the morning, and she's just so happy.
That's
and
amazing.
Like, and that's how we all are. You know, all of us as children, we were so happy, and we just did whatever we wanted. We said whatever we wanted. And that's how it should be. And
that's what we all kind of do when we're home alone too, you know what I mean? Or like wherever you feel really safe, just amplifying that everywhere.
Yeah. And so, but obviously as we get older, you know, opinions and sometimes like with our family, we have
conditioning,
family trauma, and it's just a lot. Like the world is a lot, and the world is scary. And we do need those things. I think that is what pushes us to grow, are those challenges. But it also is overwhelming, and it's scary to be ourselves, especially in social media where people can hide behind a screen and they can tear you apart if they really want to.
Bro, those Ask Me Anonymous questions.
Oof. Yeah.
Don't ask me anonymous questions.
Yeah.
Keep those questions to yourself. You can ask me questions with your name on it.
Please. I love it because I feel like most of the time, I don't know why people feel more comfortable saying it behind a screen.
Well, it's definitely more vulnerable to ask someone something and then have to like open yourself up to that conversation as well. Which is literally the problem I think we're having on social media right now, is that we're all so disconnected.
Yes.
So we add this sticker that lets us be even more disconnected and ask questions without any repercussions. No one can know who's asking it. I hope that it comes out that we all have like, these are who asked this question.
Yeah.
I hope y'all get seen because you're nosy and it's uncool, some of the questions that people are asking. And it's like, if they knew who was asking, you would not be asking it.
Yes.
That just breeds like harassment, bullying, shame.
Yeah.
I want no part in that.
Same. And that's my favorite book is The Four Agreements. Have you read that?
No.
You need to.
What is it called again?
The Four Agreements.
Okay.
It is amazing. So I'm trying to remember all the agreements, but I can't right now.
It's okay.
Not off the top of my head. But one of the agreements is don't take anything personally. Another one is be impeccable with your word. And I can't remember the other two. But my favorite one is the don't take anything personally, because it's just...
It's not about us.
Not holding people accountable for their actions, but everything someone says and everything someone does is a direct reflection of themselves. Because if you've noticed, like, anytime that you feel jealous or you feel envy, is it really towards that person, or is it really because you just want something that they have, or whatever it is? Like, it always comes back to you. And so I think especially with social media, and especially with people who share their lives on social media and put themselves out there, it's so important to remember that. And like, I have like written that down because I just have to read that every day and just engrave it in my brain, because the more you realize that everything someone does and says is a reflection of them, the happier you'll be. Because if you're spreading love and you're spreading positivity, then that's going to come back to you. And eventually you're going to be in a circle surrounded with people who are filled with love and are filled with happiness. So, yeah, I love the
What's that What's-Her-Face does on The Real Housewives?
I love it. Oh my gosh, that
shit away.
The best. But yeah, everyone should read The Four Agreements. I think if there is one book in the entire world every single person should read, it's that
The Four
book.
Agreements. Okay.
So, we're going to launch our website soon. But yeah, it's basically just about wearing your world, not caring what other people think, and just being yourself. And we just want to offer that through our clothing. And then as well as with you, we did a little questionnaire and blog post. So on our website, we're going to have a little Your Story section where I want to get submissions from people who are just willing to answer questions. I want to just do like street interviews with people.
I love those.
So that's our plan. Just raising awareness and just creating a safe place for people to be able to share.
Breaking the stigmas.
Yes, exactly.
Cool.
So,
I'm very proud of you.
Yay, thank you.
Honestly,
Me
like,
too.
thank you.
We're boss bitches. I love it.
I wouldn't consider myself one yet.
But you are. Look at this room.
You're right.
This is incredible.
Yeah. I need to be kinder to myself about the things I've done. I think I just said the other day, I am really proud of how, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm really proud of how far I've come, because I work pretty much solely on medical cannabis, and that's like adding an extra 75 pounds to your whole self and trying to get things done. And it's just like a really weird, like, mental fog. It's makes your body feel heavy, and then I'm trying to get work done while that's happening, but I have to have that so I can eat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a catch-22. And then I have mental illness. I have severe depression and PTSD, and trying to run a business and get it off the ground, or two businesses and get them off the ground, is really hard with all of that. And so I think being honest about it is hard, but also freeing in a way. And then meeting people like you along the way really just helps me reinforce that what I'm doing is good and I'm on the right path. Because if I wouldn't have just taken that leap and gone and done that with Afa, like, I wouldn't know you at all.
Yeah, I'm so glad.
I know, me too.
My heart is so happy.
Who would have known?
I know, same. It's just, I love how, like, just the universe works and how they bring people to you as long as you're open to it. Because I struggle, like, a ton. I feel you on the mental health side. Like, I'm not even kidding. Literally a week ago, I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, and I've struggled with this for years, but just so many just suicidal thoughts and things like that. And so it's hard because, especially with social media and comparing yourself to every other person on the app, and, like, getting caught up in not getting enough likes and not getting enough comments, or posting something and having no one respond to it, and you're like, oh, I thought this was really good and no one said a single thing, and now I feel terrible about myself. When it's like, first of all, it takes people, I think, like 7 times to see something to actually click on it.
Interesting.
And so most of the time, and it's not that people don't care about you or that they don't like you, but, like,
we're going so fast
on social media. Like, you just scroll, like, at least for me, like, I just scroll sometimes, and I find myself in that endless loop of scrolling, and, like, am I really paying attention to the content that I'm consuming?
Or have you, like, looked away at the TV before?
I have, like, 3 things going on, and
so bad.
Not even paying attention, and that's how everyone is. Like, everyone's in, and so it's not that you're doing anything wrong, and I have to remind myself this every day. It's just that you have to be so repetitive about what you say. And even if you feel like you have posted the same thing a million times, if it is important to you, keep posting and keep sharing, because it's going to, you just need that one thing that's going to blow up. And it doesn't even come down to, like, having the likes and having the comments or whatever it is that you want. And, like, external validation, I guess, is just being happy with yourself and knowing that you're sharing what you want to share, and it doesn't matter how many people you impact. If it's one person, that's incredible, because you changed a whole entire person. Like, you changed their life, and that should mean something. So it shouldn't be about how many people you're influencing and how many people's lives you think you're changing, because it doesn't matter, because you're sharing your truth, and that's all that matters.
Honestly, just to add on top of that, I've been so stressed about, like, wanting to make, like, these conversations really fulfilling and educational for all the watchers and listeners. And my boyfriend was like, it doesn't matter about anyone who watches it or anything like that. It's good for you and the person sitting down with you.
It's so true.
It's like, that's what's fulfilling. Like, go into it just being like, I'm going to really enjoy this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's going to be beneficial for both of us. And if we record it and we put it on the internet and people also like that, then that's great. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's about what's here and what's in person. And
especially building relationships. I feel like, for me especially, I don't know if anyone else is like this, but, like, I have terrible social anxiety. And, like, with social media and COVID, it just made it, and now being a mom where, like, I just talk to a 1-year-old all day, so it's mainly just blabbling and singing Sesame Street songs. Like, I have lost all social interaction abilities. Like, it's so bad. And so it's easy to beat yourself up over stuff like that. But it's so important to have those friendships instead of having, like, 1 million followers or 1 million likes. Like, having those close friendships are so hard to find.
The people who are meeting me more recently, they know a more updated version of me. You know what I mean? Like, I go back to those situations and I immediately self-deprecate. I immediately do all the things I was doing.
Yeah.
when I was younger and not who I am now. And for some reason, I am able to like hold myself in a new way, a new light with people who don't necessarily know my whole life story. I think that's what's beautiful about being an adult, though, and kind of moving away is I haven't really moved away, but some years I did, and then I'm back, and it's so nice to have those nostalgic friendships, but I think it's even healthier to have new friendships that push you to grow. And like we're talking about getting like those day passes and going to work at the co-working space together. You know what I mean? It's those things that you find people that are in more of the stage of life you're in, and you just, it's a little easier, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
You have people to support you and to lift you up and to be there to remind you when you don't, where with those old friendships, you know, they just don't get it. Because I've had to learn that as well. And it's hard, like, because you feel like you have no one and that you lost all of your friends when really you didn't. You just have to introduce yourself to new people. And it's scary and it's hard, but it's so
any change is destabilizing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming for sure. But we're here.
Yeah, so we're in this together.
Yay! Yeah, we're never going back to corporate life ever again.
We will do OnlyFans before we do that again.
Agreed. Very much so. Yeah.
Well, good. I don't know how to end this. I'm so awkward.
I don't either. It's cool.
See you soon.
Yes, see you.
Thank you so much for watching or listening to Who the Chel Cares. I'm your host, Chelsea, and I hope you give a fuck too. If you liked this episode or liked other episodes, thank you so much. If you could like, rate, subscribe, share, comment, DM me your thoughts and questions. I'd love to chat with you guys.
Our slogan, Where Your World, also goes along with we've always had everything that we've ever needed inside of us. We just have to let it out. So it's not something that we necessarily have to find or create. It's something that we have inside of us already. And Where Your World is just here to support you. Honestly, my life is kind of new, at least the journey that I'm on right now. So we're still figuring it out, but
getting that health certification.
Yes, I actually finished. This is my last week of school.
Perfect.
Yeah,
so now you can start taking clients.
I basically just help you, coach you through your goals and lifestyle changes and try and make it like easier for you.
You bring the education we don't have.
Yes. Great. I try to. I don't know everything, but I've learned a lot these past few months.